Hello, Management 1000 Intro to Business students. I'm going to distribute this information in class, but I wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek at it and make sure that you had this available for reference. As we begin week 7, think about this. How many weeks are left in the semester? The typical semester is about 15 and a half weeks, so if you think about that, it's week 7, and if you're using your student planner and you flip to October, you see that we really are at this midpoint, which means midterm exams and fall break and lots of good things. So as we approach exam number 1, I know that this can make you a little bit nervous, and I know we've talked about a couple of these things, but let's talk about the best way that you can get an A. Well, the best way to get an A is to be very litigious on your homework, meaning that you do it frequently, you go back and you get the highest score possible, and you just really make sure that you're earning the top score on the quizzes, because the quiz questions, that pool of questions, will be used as the pool of questions for exam number 1. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Now, as we do, remember that tomorrow night you have your Chapter 6 quiz and Chapter 6 interactive that are due, and so those are the last 2 homework assignments before starting test number 1. Now you have a few days where we're just going to discuss this content in class, and you can catch up on your other coursework before test number 1 will officially open up to you. Okay, now you'll notice that I have these 2 ladies working on their computers, and this lady has a very nice new looking computer, and this computer looks like it might be a little bit older. As you know, you're going to take your exam outside of class hours. It might be that you decide to take the quiz at home, and that's wonderful. It's great to work at home. You can be comfortable and relaxed, right? But if you have an older computer, if you have a faulty, or unreliable internet connection, or if you are just concerned that something could go wrong while you're at home, then I would encourage you to come to campus, right? If you come to campus, if you schedule time now, you can check the availability of the library, see what time it's open, see what time you can get into a classroom perhaps to use a computer. These are going to be things that are important, because if you're on that, rickety old computer, you don't want to do that. You want to have your notes organized here, off to the side. Maybe she has some tabs and she's looking something up, and she's going to post that answer into her computer screen, right? Maybe she's listening to music here. I don't know what that's about, but I would encourage you to have, a really concentrated, focused environment. Before you begin that test, remember you have to complete it in a single sitting. One session. You are not going to stop and start. You've got to do it all in one go. So you want to be well organized prior to starting. Go to the bathroom before you get started. Have your textbook already out and available, ready to look at. Have pages of your textbook printed if that's the method that you want to choose for that, right? You're not going to be able to click on the ebook during your test, so make sure you have all that ready and available. Print off any pages, maybe print your old quizzes and have them organized so that, tabbed and stapled together, so you're not shuffling papers. You can waste a lot of time doing that, but again, the best thing I can tell you to prepare for the test is quite simply to have done the homework. So that's very, very important. Okay. Now, as we talk about the exam, I'm in pause here. If this is not your particular section, no worries. Click on, once you enter our course in pause, click on the content link. Once you get into the content link, scroll down. You'll see an area here that says test number 1. And when you do, and I should probably show this to you in a way that you normally... Here we go. I apologize for that. I'm now viewing the screen as you would see it as a student. And here I am in content, and I'm going to collapse this course introduction. And then you'll see the information for test number 1. Now, see here it says test number 1, chapters 1 through 6. And you can click on this link. Be very patient with it. It does take a couple minutes to maybe load here, so we've got to be patient. And there it comes. Now, I'm going to give you a copy of this handout in class, but just in case, you misplace it, which I hope you would not do because this is very important information. You see how I could get to this through pause, content, going to our exam number 1. Now, see this floppy disk where I'm kind of pointing? You would click on this and you could save this, for example, to your desktop or to a flash drive or to some place where you could very quickly access it. In that way you wouldn't have to go through pause again, but you can always go through pause to get this. Now this little document looks very small right now, but another thing that you can do is here in the middle, you can use this box to expand until you get the size where it's, readable to you. Now, because I've saved this document to my desktop and then I, minimize my browser and I can go out and then just double click the file, I can pull it up like this and it's nice and large. Okay, let me review a couple of these instructions with you, and again, maybe you can go through this video right before you begin the test so that you have it. The window, well, let me start with the obvious. You're expected to do this independently. This is not a team approach. Trust me when I tell you that there are many systems in place that monitor you, and yes, in today's high-tech environment, we are aware when you are working as a team. Don't do that. This is so silly, folks, and I'll tell you why. Because I've given you all these questions in advance. I made it possible for you to succeed if you'll just extend the effort. If you didn't do the homework, if you haven't been, reading your textbook and actively working those quizzes, yes, if you suddenly appear with a perfect score, that's one obvious telltale sign that there's a problem. And of course, it would lead to further investigation. And anyway, just let's not do that, folks, because we just talked about ethics and how important that is. And the truth of the matter is that you were given the opportunity to succeed. So once again, it's an independent effort. Now, the exam will become available to you as of Friday morning. You can get in there as early as 1 o'clock in the morning if you so choose. And depending if you work a late shift, logging on at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning might be suitable to your schedule. It closes sharply, the window of availability, Sunday, October the 14th at 11:55. You need to be targeting in your mind that you'll take this exam either Friday or Saturday. Sunday is a safety net day. Don't wait until the last minute. That's when problems occur. Okay, what if you start the exam and you thought you had more time, but your watch says that it's only 11:52 and the system knocks you out because the system believes it's 11:55? Well, the problem there is that you need to complete this test well in advance of the due date and time. You can get all concerned about synchronizing your clocks, and trust me, the system is synchronized with the world clock, so its timing is accurate. But the truth of the matter is, if you're down to the seconds and the 1 minute mark, the real problem here is that you've waited too late to start that test. Now, once you begin during this window of availability, you do not have the entire time. A time limit will kick in once you start the test. You need to be prepared to complete the test in a single session. One sitting, no stopping the clock. We'll talk about that in a moment. The reason this is important is because you have one attempt. When you click Start to begin that exam, this is no longer about studying. You're not preparing. For the homework, you had those unlimited attempts, and that was to help you study and to help you prepare. This is no longer the situation. We're assessing your knowledge. So there are no retakes. There are no makeups per the syllabus. Okay? Now, what happens if you have a shaky internet connection, your computer crashes, lightning strikes, earthquakes come? That was your one attempt. Okay? When I tell you that there's only one attempt, there is only one attempt. If you're concerned that the power might go out in your house, that your connection to the internet may be lost, that you'll experience some type of problem, then you should come to campus. Now, coming to campus means that you need to plan time. You need to plan, to get a ride up to campus. You need to check the library hours to make sure they're open. You need to find out a classroom. You don't want to start the test and then find out that a class is getting ready to come in and begin, right? That would use up your one attempt. You don't want to do that because the easiest chapter in any textbook is chapter 1. This test covers chapters 1 through 6. So this is going to be the easier of the tests throughout the semester. Do well on it. Don't use this as your drop grade, right? So read these instructions, which I'll hand out to you. Read them thoroughly. I'm just kind of emphasizing some of the key points. Okay, so if you need to come to campus, plan to do that. How much time do you have for the test? 200 minutes. That's a long time. I don't think that you will use all that time or need all of that time if you've been doing the homework. If you sit down and you are familiar with the material and you're ready to take it, I don't think it will take you that long, but you've got to be organized as you do. I wanted to pull up the calculator here because with 200 minutes, if we say we have 75 questions, which is what we have, so I'm going to divide 200 minutes by 75, 2.6 minutes per question. Some of the questions I suspect you will look at and you will say, oh yeah, I remember reading about that. I remember discussing that. I remember this concept, and you will probably be able to answer it pretty quickly. Other questions, it might require a little bit more time. Again, you need to be prepared, you need to be organized, but I think that 200 minutes is more than enough time. And like I said, I don't think you'll really need all that time, but you should plan for it. You should definitely plan for it. Okay. Once you begin this 200 minutes, you cannot stop the clock for any reason. If you close the browser, you turn off the computer, the clock is still running. Your 200 minutes are being used up. You need to finish the test in a single sitting. Have your drink ready, your bottle of water. Keep it away from the computer, right? Have gone to the bathroom prior to starting the test. Have your pages printed and organized well before you click that start button. Need to complete it in a single sitting. Now, what do you do when you're done? There is a submit button and you need to click it. You don't want to just leave the test out there running, because if you leave the test open, the computer could very well assume that you're still working on it, and there's a 10% per hour penalty if the test is still open after the 200 minutes. In other words, I'm going to let you still keep on working, but I'm going to knock off a letter grade at the start of every subsequent hour. Okay? So hit submit, make sure you're done, and finish well in advance of that 200 minutes, and then just simply click the submit button when you're done. I'll give you an idea here. Oftentimes, you have a timer on your cell phone, or you could get a simple kitchen timer, like a little egg timer. Maybe set that timer for an hour, for 60 minutes, so that you know when the first hour is passed. And then set it for another 30 minutes, so that's 90 minutes, right? Set it for another however long. You can keep doing it in whatever increments you'd like, so that you have a general idea of how time is passing, right? Okay, how many questions? Whoops. How many questions? 75 questions, which means the questions are 2 points apiece. If you miss one question, you're going to be okay. This is a 150-point exam, as you know from the syllabus. But I want you to get all of them right. So do your best. Read the questions. Read the answers. Sometimes you can eliminate some of the answers, and do your best. The questions are randomly chosen from the homework from chapters 1 through 6, right? Now, Because you only have one attempt at this test, once you begin, you need to be prepared to take it. So I do not want any false starts on the test. For this reason, I've put a password on the test. When you click the test for it to begin, it's going to prompt you for a password. That password is success. See it there? Success. You type it in. It is case sensitive, so you're going to type it in all lowercase letters. You got to spell it correctly. You know that, right? And once you type it in, you'll click OK and the test will begin. Okay, and then you'll get going. Now, when do you find out your grade? Well, I delay that just a little bit. The window of availability ends on October the 14th. So your detailed grading will be available to you in Connect on October the 15th. Right? Can you see that there? Shall I make this a little bit bigger? Oops, there it is. On Monday, October the 15th, right? That's the first day of fall break, or you can wait, a few days later if you'd like. You can go back into the Connect system and you can see the questions you got right and the questions you might have missed. Okay? Put a note on your calendar if that's what you want to do so that you remember. Now, why do I do that? Quite frankly, to protect those students who have completed the exam. I don't want you printing off the questions and handing them around. However, I shall tell you this, everybody's test will, the chances that two students will have identical tests will really be, 1 in a million probably, because the questions are randomized in the order that they appear. They're randomized in that they're from a pool of questions. They're randomized in that choice A today might very well be in position C tomorrow. So things are very much shuffled. Still, if you've read the question, if you're familiar with the quizzes and you've been doing the work, this is to assess your knowledge, and you should do well if you've been learning the material, okay, and really going through it. So I do delay the scores there, right? Okay, so that tells you a little bit about the test. I wanted you to have this, available to you so that you could get in there. Naturally, there's no check my work option, anything like that. So the big thing here is you have one attempt, complete it in a single sitting. Prepare to complete it early. Schedule. Put it in your calendar. When are you going to take this test? Block out that time so that you make sure you're well rested and fully prepared when you begin that test. Okay? That being said, why do you think I made that password? Excuse me. Let me come back down here to that password. Remember the password? It was success. Why did I make that password success? Because I really want you to have success in this test. If you've been prepared, you've been doing the work, you're going to have success if you're well organized and if you prepare. So good luck to you, and we'll see you this week when we'll talk about Chapter 6. Thanks.